My name is Dr. Sabeen Pervaiz, and my practice is Nova Hair and Skin Clinic. It's located in Fairfax, and we serve all patients, male, female.
Awesome. I can't wait to learn more. So, Dr. Pervez, your career began in primary care medicine before you transitioned into aesthetics and hair restoration. Can you share your journey and what inspired you to create Nova Hair and Skin?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I started in primary care, family medicine. That's what I trained in, that's what I board certified in. And I found within a couple of years of practicing primary care, I just felt that it wasn't how I wanted to practice medicine in terms of being able to spend the time with my patients. I just saw myself getting burnt out really quickly. And I almost, there was days where I started question if I had actually picked the right career, even like going into medicine. So I was actually inspired to go into aesthetics with a previous colleague who was also practicing aesthetics at that time, and so I really got interested in aesthetics. So that's where the spark came for aesthetics, and then I did my training, certifications, and I started practicing aesthetics. And then I also did some training, shadowing, and hair restoration. So for hair transplant surgeries, and so that's where it all began.
Awesome. And that's awesome that you were able to kind of stay within the same field, but just pivot to something that fit you a little bit better.
Yes, absolutely. I always say that I'm blessed and I'm grateful that I was able to recognize that early in my career. And so it was amazing that I was able to do that.
Yeah. And you've spoken about wanting more time and meaningful connections with patients. How did those values shape the practice that you've built today?
So what I've done with my practice now is I allot myself enough time so that I don't feel like I'm having to rush. If there is patients that need more time, I can dedicate that time to them. And so that was one of the biggest things that I had noticed when I was in a private group practice, was just the time. And the patients want that. Patients want you to sit there and listen to them, hear them out. So that's one of the things is the time, but also just being able to be flexible and have that autonomy. So I think the biggest thing is flexibility. I can set my hours, I can set my schedule the way I need to be able to, fit for the patients.
Yeah, and I'm sure the patients appreciate that, being able to spend that time with you.
Yeah, I have had to sacrifice my Saturdays, but I can't tell you the amount of times patients have told me they appreciate the Saturdays because it's, for them it's convenient and
Yeah.
they're able to come on their time off.
Yeah. So today your work combines science, medicine, artistry, and precision. What do you enjoy most about the hands-on and the creative side of hair restoration and aesthetic medicine?
I think the biggest thing I enjoy is the creativity. I have always had an interest in art. Years ago, I used to sketch, I used to paint, and do all of those things with art. So this has allowed me to bring that into my career with medicine. So combining that, and then I have a little bit of. I tell patients sometimes it's good for them because I have a little bit of OCD. So when I'm doing hair transplant procedure specifically, it's such a detail oriented type of a procedure. We're taking tiny little grafts, hair grafts, and then, transplanting them to a different part. And so I get very focused in on it. And so I'm very detail oriented, but the artistry of it really kind of shines through when you're having to create a hairline, or we do eyebrows and having to, angle those brows to follow your natural eyebrows. So, I mean, I just love it. I love everything about it, the combination of it all.
Yeah, and I bet it does take a lot of creativity to be able to also work with a ton of different people and being able to, you know, customize those results to each patient.
Absolutely. Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
So Nova Hair Skin offers a wide range of services from hair restoration to cosmetic treatments. What makes your approach unique, and how do you personalize care for each patient?
I think the biggest thing that sets us apart is we practice aesthetic medicine, but since it's a solo practice, so I'm the only physician and surgeon that's in my practice. I actually combine concierge medicine with the aesthetics side of things. So all of my patients have access to me. And so I think that is unique. I worked for other, hair restoration clinics, and the consult initially, you don't actually even get to meet with the physician a lot of times. So with my practice, what I've done is the patients will meet with me for the initial consultation, and then I'm with them throughout the whole procedure, and then they have access to me directly after procedure. So if they have any questions or they have any concerns, they can reach out to me. And I think they really appreciate that a lot, because it's an outpatient procedure a lot of times with the transplant surgery especially, but you can still have concerns afterwards. And so I think they appreciate that they can reach out to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's unique that I have found, especially working with other practices, that is very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I bet it's easy for them to, right off the bat build that connection with you rather than, meeting a new face right before going into a procedure. I bet that helps calm them down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not walking in and they know who their physician is. They know
Right.
who's going to be there with them. So yeah.
Yeah, and building trust is incredibly important in healthcare and aesthetics. How do you create an environment where patients feel comfortable, heard, and confident in their treatment decisions?
I think just being able to talk and listen to their story, listen to their concerns, listen to why they're even there in the first place. And a lot of times, I think sometimes people may think, well, it's aesthetics, it's cosmetic treatments, it's elective treatments, but it goes much deeper than that. For a lot of these patients that are coming in, it's affecting their self-esteem, their confidence. I have patients that are, public facing, and I can't tell you the number of times I've had patients say, I just want my confidence back because it's affecting their ability to go out and do public speaking and things like that. So I think the biggest thing for me is just being able to listen to them. And I think if they're able to have that connection, I think that helps build trust.
Yeah. And I think it's great that you're able to provide that for them because, everybody wants to feel heard and, you know, it's great that you're able to provide that for them and also build their confidence up with their procedures. And what is one of the most meaningful pieces of feedback you've received from a patient that reminds you of why you do what you do?
Gosh, I get them a lot all day, every day, but I think just for me, it's very moving and touching when patients tell me that their life has changed and they feel more confident and they feel like they're just better. They feel better going out into the world, and being able to have a life. So I think that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
that reminds me every day that this isn't just, it's not just a cosmetic procedure. But
Right. It's changing their life essentially.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, and hair loss can be an emotional and deeply personal experience. What are some of the most common concerns you hear from patients, and how do you help guide them through that journey?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, it affects their self-esteem, their confidence. Sometimes I get really young patients, in college. And so, a lot of times their parents will come with them, and their parents are concerned for, their child. They're being so young and having to deal with hair loss at such an early age. So I think just being able to give them reassurance that there are treatment options, there are things that we can do, that it's not, well, this is how it is, and there's just, unfortunately, there's nothing. But so I tell them that, there are things, takes patience, it takes consistency, and it takes time. But there are treatment options available. So I think that helps reassure them. Yeah.
Yeah. And there have been exciting advancements in the hair restoration and aesthetics industry. What innovations or emerging treatments are you most excited about right now?
So peptides, I think, is really, really big right now. I actually have a lot of patients coming in and talking to me about GHKQ, copper tripeptide for hair. So peptides, exosomes is another ones that are like stem cell derived for aesthetics, PDRN. So there's so many new advances that are happening. One of the ones that we've brought into our practice in the last couple of years, Alma TED, has been a game changer for us and for our practice. We used to, prior to that TED device, so TED stands for transepidermal delivery. Prior to that, I would have to inject, like if I wanted to do PRP for hair loss, I would have to inject that plasma into the scalp. And it would be very uncomfortable. It can be a little bit painful at times. So this TED device just replaces me having to inject. And so it has been a game changer for our practice. Patients love that I no longer have to inject their scalp and it works it works
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear different advancements in different industries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned the growing interest in peptides and their role in hair health and overall wellness. What should people know about this area of research and its potential benefits?
I think right now it's just in the very, very early stages. It's just starting to come out. There's not a lot of research just yet because it's still so new. So I would say definitely work with a provider or a practitioner that has the proper training with that so that, you're aware of your benefits, but also the risks that are involved with using these.
So many people wait a long time before seeking help for concerns like hair thinning, aging skin, or different cosmetic issues. What would you want someone to know if they're unsure whether it's the right time to explore treatment options?
I always say the earlier the better because preventative
Yeah.
with, especially with hair. Hair, it over time, you'll start to, in the beginning, it's just, okay, it's a little bit of thinning, but then over time, you tend to lose those follicles. And so that's why hair transplants still exist. That's why, that's still a treatment that is available. So there gets to be a point where those follicles are no longer revivable. Like we can't bring those back. So the earlier you start, the better. And even with the other, cosmetic treatments with the facials, like you could do preventative cosmetic treatments to get ahead of the very deep wrinkles or the collagen loss and things like that.
Yeah. So catching it before it actually
Yeah.
develops into something that can't be.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, as both a physician and a business owner, what have been some of the most valuable lessons you've learned about balancing patient care, leadership, and running a successful practice?
God, well, patience, I think, and then just being able to show up in different parts of life, right? So showing up for your patients, but then also being able to have that capacity in your personal life. So balance, I think, is a big thing for just having your own business, having your own practice, and then just being able to kind of like slow down, take a pause, and take a deep breath. Sometimes I think we all have those days and moments where we get a little bit overwhelmed and frustrated. So I think just taking a step back, slowing down, and taking a deep breath, and just kind of reevaluating. So I think those are some of the biggest things I've learned in the years that I've had my business is just slowing down and just taking a deep breath sometimes helps.
Yeah, being able to slow down before rushing to any decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then looking ahead, what are your goals for Nova Hair and Skin, and what excites you the most about the future of your practice?
For goals for, I mean, I am blessed. I'm grateful for the practice where it is, but I would love for it to see what else we have in store. I would love to, work with other practitioners. So I'm working with a friend and a nurse practitioner. So hopefully bringing her on board within the practice. So that's one exciting thing that I have in the works. And so yeah, just hopefully new treatments, new advances as new technology comes up. For me, I'm always attending conferences and looking for new advances and treatments for patients that are going to work better for them. And so yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you truly care about your patients and are always looking for new ways to provide different care for them.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I had brought on this TED device was my biggest thing was like, gosh, I wish there was something that wasn't as painful but could still deliver results. And there it was on my TED. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm bringing this on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who would like to learn more about Nova Hair and Skin, explore treatment options, or connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram, Nova Hair and Skin. We're on Facebook, Nova Hair and Skin. And then online, we have a website, Nova Hair and Skin Clinic. So just, yeah, online, if you search us, we should be there and on Google and social media.
Awesome. So different ways to find you.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to add that I haven't touched on today?
No, I think we covered a lot. Yeah, I don't think there is anything
Okay,
else. Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Pervaiz, for joining me on the podcast and sharing your knowledge, passion, and story with us. I wish you the very best in all that comes your way in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you're a business owner, founder, or entrepreneur, we would love to have you on the Alamon Show. Just go to alamonphotography.com/podcast, sign up to be featured.